you doing before you became famous? In about 1956, you started making...
I was working for a living. I operated a restaurant for about 25 years.
Yes.
Trying to serve the best food that I could serve to the public. That's where I developed my chicken recipe, that I wanted to have the best chicken in my restaurant than any competitor had. So I was on the highway where they go to Florida or the Smoky Mountains, and as they went down to there, I wanted to get them as they come back.
Colonel Harlan Sanders, an icon of the fast food industry. That white suit and hair, that iconic tie. You may think you know him and his delicious 11 herbs and spices. He's more famous today, arguably, than he was at the height of his career in the 60s and 70s. But did you know he once shot a business rival? He did, and this is that story. By the age of 40, Harlan Sanders had worked quite a few jobs to different levels of success. He had briefly been in the Army, he had been an insurance salesman, a steam engine stuffer, and finally he had been running service stations. When his last station closed, he had begun an offer to come run a station in Corbin, Kentucky. This was called Hell's Half Acre, and it was a rough and tumble place. But the addition of being able to live at the service station, it had an apartment, sealed the deal for Harlan, and in 1930, he came to Corbin, Kentucky. Now cut to present day, and this is the location of that gas station that Harlan Sanders would manage in 1930. Long since burned down, and you may be thinking, well, wait, that's not the Sanders Cafe that I know. You're right. The Sanders Cafe, which is a famous landmark, is right here across the street. But that was not the filling station that Harlan Sanders was running in 1930. In fact, he wouldn't even start selling chicken until 1937. Our story takes place nearly 90 years ago, in the summer of 1932. Early 1930s in Corbin, Kentucky was an exciting place and could at times be cutthroat. Highway 25 would bring visitors from all across the north as they made their way to Florida. And it was a cutthroat business to get them to come to your location. So Harlan Sanders, well before he'd be known as Colonel, thought of some pretty ingenious ways to make sure people came to him and not to his competition. So even though Colonel Sanders wouldn't start selling chicken for a few more years, in the early 1930s he would sell country ham and steak dinners off of his own dining room table, one family at a time. But he had to make sure there was a way to get those customers in there for the first time. How could he stand out from his competition? He was just a gas station after all. Well, you would think the normal thing would be to get some advertising on a billboard. Well, the locals in Corbin, they loved billboards, but for a different reason. They loved to use them for target practice. So the colonel was pretty ingenious. He would paint signs directing people to his station all over for miles. He would do it on overpasses where trains would come through. He would do it on barns. Barns especially he liked because people would leave those alone because they wouldn't dare shoot into a barn and risk hurting an animal. In fact, the only people who seemed to have a problem with his artistic means of getting customers was, well, his competition. Matthew Calvin Stewart, or Matt Stewart as he was known, was a gas station manager in North Corbin. He would run a Standard oil station and was so angered by the colonel's do-it-yourself advertising campaign around town that whenever he saw one of the colonel's signs, he would paint over it. And this infuriated Colonel Sanders. Sanders would go on to tell Stewart to his face that if he ever caught him doing it, he would knock his damn head off. Undeterred, Stewart would keep right on painting over the homemade advertising, except this time when he did it, he would carry a gun. Sanders was looking for the opportunity to catch Stewart in the act, and finally, one fateful July day, July the 8th of 1932, he got word that Stewart was painting over one of his advertisements. He and two managers from the Shell Oil Company, H.D. Shelburne and Robert Gibson, hopped into a car and sped over to Stewart. When the men arrived and got out of their car, Stewart, still in the act of painting over the advertising, came down from his ladder and began firing. One shot hit Robert Gibson straight through the heart, killing him instantly. The World War I veteran Gibson would drop his gun, which Sanders would retrieve. Sanders and Shelburne then took shots at Stewart, Shelburne hitting Stewart in the hip, and Sanders hitting Stewart in the shoulder. Upon the shot from Sanders, Matt Stewart would say, "Stop, you're killing me." An eyewitness to the event who was driving through Corbin at the time, George Chin, who was sergeant at arms for the Kentucky legislature, would say that there were police cars everywhere. Despite his pleas that he was being killed by Colonel Sanders, Stewart would indeed survive the shooting. All three at the scene would be arrested, but charges would be dropped against H.D. Shelburne and Colonel Sanders. Charges for Matt Stewart would be 18 years in prison for the murder of Robert Gibson. Matthew Stewart would not serve 18 years, not because he got out on some sort of technicality, but because Matthew Stewart would only live to 1933. And now we're at Matthew Stewart's final resting place, Pine Hill Cemetery in Corbin, Kentucky, one of the state's oldest cemeteries. We're going to go a little bit of the ways in to Matt Stewart's grave to pay our respects to somebody who is a footnote in the life of a very famous person. We might not ever know Matthew Stewart's name, his story, when he died, if it wasn't for the fact that he became intertwined with a cultural icon in Colonel Sanders. Pine Hill Cemetery, like many, have its share of interesting graves, and it's easy to get lost in here for quite a while. We have looked around for Matt Stewart's grave for about an hour, and thanks to some pictures, we think we're closing in on its location, but I think I'm going to go up in the drone to get a better look. The death of Matthew Stewart at just 38 years of age left behind as his widow Pearl and their children. Ona Mae, his daughter especially, was hit hard by the loss of her father. Colonel Sanders, upon hearing of Stewart's death just a year into his prison sentence, wasn't happy. He was, in fact, sad. He hated what that would mean for the family. And he went to Ona Mae and said if he could do anything to please let him know. And in fact, after she would manage the family business for a while, she would come to work for Colonel Sanders as manager and partner at the Sanders Cafe. And when Colonel Sanders in 1964 sold his controlling interest in Kentucky Fried Chicken to John Y. Brown, who would go on to become the governor of Kentucky, Ona Mae was a business partner of Brown's as well. She was one of the original investors in Kentucky Fried Chicken. In fact, she was the only person outside of Colonel Sanders to sell Kentucky Fried Chicken until it became a nationwide phenomenon. At the very top of the cemetery, we noticed in the corner the Stewart family stone, and at last, the grave of Matthew Stewart. The life of Matthew Stewart would not be easier after the murder of Robert Gibson and his wounding at the hands of Colonel Sanders. He would pass away just 1 year later, 1933, 1 year into his 18-year prison sentence. Many people, including many locals, say that he was killed because of a hit put out by the family of Robert Gibson, the shell manager that he had killed. Either way, he was killed by a sheriff's deputy in prison in 1933. Matthew Stewart would not live to see the changes that would hit his own business, where it would become a motel, restaurant, and filling station combination. It would survive many years, but now long since torn down, the area once occupied, still a busy thoroughfare here in Corbin. But not quite as busy after the introduction of Interstate 75. Now we come to the present day Sanders Cafe, now a pilgrimage site for chicken enthusiasts worldwide. It was the second cafe after the original one burned down, but he would build this one bigger and better and combine it with a hotel that already existed across the street. Those 11 herbs and spices would bring people back for more and more. But as I said in Stewart's case, the introduction of Interstate 75 would effectively cut off much of the colonel's business, and he would have a failed run for the state senate. But penniless, at 65 years of age, he realized that his future lay in franchising. And he made millions and millions doing just that. It would have been very easy for Matt Stewart's bullet to have found Colonel Sanders that fateful July day in 1932. How different would our world have been? What fast food item would have taken its place? Would Matt Stewart be dead just a year later in 1933? Those are all questions we'll never know.
And ladies and gentlemen, the final stop of our tour, the man, the legend, a gun in one hand, a chicken in another. This is the grave of Colonel Harlan Sanders, making it just in time before the cemetery closes. Born near Henryville, Indiana, September 9th, 1890, founder of Kentucky Fried Chicken Empire, died Louisville, Kentucky, December 16th, 1980. He's buried alongside his lovely wife, Claudia Sanders. And there he is, guys. Colonel Sanders. Your delicious fried chicken has been the bane of many people such as myself, trying to watch what we eat, trying to be healthy, live healthier lives. I blame this man slightly for my childhood obesity. Phenomenal chicken. I'm going to say the best chicken, fast food wise. Biscuits, okay. Popeyes has the best biscuits. Hey, leave a comment below. You tell me who has the better biscuits. But don't sleep on Church's wings, but only from Texas. The wings on the West Coast are a lot smaller. They're just a lot different. Chicken sandwich, hey, Popeyes all the way. What can I say? But this man's chicken, this man's story proves without a shadow of a doubt, if you work hard enough, if you live your dreams, you too could be a chicken millionaire. This is a great entrepreneurial story. This is what this country is about. You work hard, you bust your behind, you shoot the competition, and when the smoke is cleared, you remain on top. God bless you, sir. God rest your soul. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna hit the road, and guess what I'm gonna do, guys? I'm going to Kentucky Fried Chicken. A leg, a thigh, a biscuit. The hell with the keto. What is keto? I don't even know anymore. Okay, YouTube, thank you for watching my video. I appreciate it. A little bit windy. I left my microphone in the van. This place was closing. I had to make tracks. I had to find a place to park. I had to do a little bit of jogging. I think I lost about a pound or two, mostly water weight. Anyways, guys, again, leave a comment below. Tell me, who do you think has the best chicken? And it could be even a local chicken joint in your area. Leave a comment below. If I'm in that area and that chicken's pretty good, hey, I might have to go and collect me some of that chicken. Guys, God bless. Thank you for always supporting me, watching my videos, thumbing me up, thumbing me down, sharing my videos on social media where applicable. Why am I talking so loud? I have no idea. Probably because I'm excited because of the grave that I seen. That was awesome. That was absolutely awesome. And that's one of the many feel-good videos that I want to do, is just stuff like that. Just cool stuff. Anyways, guys, God bless. I'll catch up with you later. Peace out.